of our celebration, we are very glad to have with us today Dr. Masum Momaya, the curator of Beyond Bollywood exhibit at Smithsonian, and Steve Elliot, director and CEO of Minnesota Historical Society, as our chief guest. The Hindu Society of Minnesota is proud to be a major sponsor of the Beyond Bollywood exhibit at the Minnesota History Center. This exhibit will provide an opportunity for thousands of Minnesotans to learn about how Indian Americans have shaped the nation. I want to thank Dr. Dash and Mrs. Dash for being the sponsor of our history wall and for being one of the main pillars of the Hindu Society of Minnesota through their continuous support of the temple. I am very proud to say that Dr. Dash Foundation is also the presenting partner of the Beyond Bollywood exhibit at the Minnesota History Center. The Beyond Bollywood exhibit with the theme of how Indian Americans shaped the nation will be a living saga of Indians migrating, settling down to take roots in the United States, and contributing to the American fabric. Indian Americans have been the father of Pentium chips, have had their designs fly in space shuttles, have excelled in the information technology area, and currently CEOs of Microsoft and Google. This traditional Hindu temple in Maple Grove, with its 43,000 square feet facility in an 80-acre campus, is currently the biggest Hindu temple in the country and serves the spiritual and cultural needs of people in the surrounding 5 states. After the first Punjabi family migrated to the United States in 1870, the famous Indian spiritual leader, Swami Vivekananda, visited the United States in 1893 and introduced yoga to the West. Following his footsteps, and the other famous yoga teachers like B.K. Iyengar, we teach yoga here, and it is our dream to have a yoga retreat and meditation center in our campus. Here we are to celebrate our temple's history in Minnesota, from our humble beginnings in Polk Street to this magnificent temple in Maple Grove. The narrators who are gathered here give us a historical note of different facets of our temple and the Hindu Society of Minnesota. Now I ask Ram Gada to come and introduce our chief guest, Dr. Masum Momaya.
Beyond Bollywood in Smithsonian creates the history of 200 years plus of Indian Americans in the United States. Along with, if you have not been at the History Center yet, this exhibit will have Minnesota Indian American history of last 60 years. Masum Momaya, recently a curator at the Smithsonian Institution and currently fellow at the Chicago Council on Global Affairs, Dr. Masum Momaya has 20 years of experience working for women's rights, gender, race, and class equality and social justice. Her curatorial portfolio includes 2 online multimedia, multilingual exhibitions and community-based exhibitions at our local museum, a solo artist exhibition, and a commissioned multiple artist team exhibition. Her most recent exhibition, Beyond Bollywood, Indian Americans Shape the Nation, showed the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History from 2014-2015 and is currently traveling around the United States and India. It is showing here at the Minnesota History Center through July 10. She earned an honors BA from Stanford University and a master's degree and doctorate from Harvard University. It is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Masum Momaya to our Hindu Society Temple.
D. Stephen Elliot has been the Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Minnesota Historical Society since 2011. In his more than 40 years of experience in the field, he has served as the President and CEO of the New York State Historical Association and as Vice President of Education and as Chief Administration Officer for the Colonial Williamsburg Foundation. He has served on many museums, history, education, and civic boards, and is a past chair of the American Association for State and Local History. Mr. Steve Elliot. Now I ask Sushmi to come on the stage and give a background on our history project.
Namaskar. It is great to be gathered here to celebrate the completion of the HSMN Oral History Project. It is a special privilege to have this celebration in the presence of Dr. Momaya and Dr. Elliot. Your work is a personal inspiration. HSMN's Oral History Project, much like the Beyond Bollywood exhibit, started due to the collective interest and dedication of the several community members. Specifically, it all started with IAM leadership and Ram Uncle. In 2013-14, they took the initiative to educate the HSMN leadership regarding grants from the Minnesota History Center to facilitate the history recordings of the various Indian Twin Cities organizations. The timing of the proposal to record the history seemed like an exciting opportunity to showcase the contributions as HSMN was celebrating the 35th anniversary in 2013 and decided to proceed with the project. With Mr. Menon's experienced project management skills, the grant application to the History Center was submitted, and in due time, the grant was accepted to proceed. List of the 17 history narrators spanning various facets of the organization was drafted. The interviewees, the narrators, highlighted aspects such as the founding of the organization to religious, financial, food, yoga, Sunday religion and language school, discourses, cultural activities, administration, construction of the temple, temple store, volunteers, involvement of the donors, and milestones such as celebrating the 35th anniversary at the Minneapolis Convention Center. It has been an exciting, educating, and humbling journey. I would like to thank all those that made it possible for us to gather here today to celebrate, but especially IAM leadership and Ram Uncle for connecting us with the Minnesota History Society. The Minnesota History Society for providing us the grant for HSMN to be the first organization to record the audio-video history as part of the Oral History Project. The grant motivated HSMN team to kick off various other history project phases, such as the already completed second phase of the history project, the Dr. Dash-sponsored History Wall. I would like to dedicate this celebration to the founders, the donors, the volunteers, the administrators, in essence, the entire community, to feel proud of the collective contributions. Thank you so much. I would like to request Dr. Saxena to please sing us our favorite bhajan this morning. Dr. Saxena. Thank you.
Everybody please join if you know the song. Vaishnava Jana Ko Tere Kariye Pir Parai Jane Vaishnava Jana Ko Tere Kariye Pir Parai Jane Par
such a pleasure to be with you all this morning. I thank you for this opportunity. And I also thank the Hindu Society very much for your support of Beyond Bollywood exhibit, along with our presenting sponsor. Leadership support like yours really makes projects like that possible. And just want you to know we're very grateful. I think that our fellow Minnesotans will enjoy learning about our Indian American neighbors. And to know that one out of every 100 Americans now traces his or her roots to India. And that Minnesota itself is home to more than 40,000 Indian Americans, the state's second largest community of Asian descent. And we continue to receive about 1,000 new Indian Americans every year. At the Historical Society, we've enjoyed a warm working relationship with Minnesota's Indian community for about a quarter of a century. The oral history work that's been referenced began as a cooperative effort in 1992. And Ron, if I get any of this wrong, you just correct me as I go along. But that was a wonderful project. And the narrators in that project were chosen with an eye to diversity of birthplace in India and religion. And those narrators provided for our collection a remarkable perspective on their lives and on the many facets of adjustment to American life and culture and settlement in Minnesota. So it was a very successful project, and it spawned more successful projects. And subsequently, the Society, working with the School of India for Languages and Culture, and the India Association of Minnesota, completed in 2006 its 5th oral history project. This is really vitally important documentation for the generations that will come after us about this unique history and the people who lived it. And of course, as an institution, in addition to our educational program and exhibits, what we do is collect. And as a collecting cultural institution, you have helped us document your experience in Minnesota. For example, just a couple of examples. We have 7 saris worn by Nina, family members of the Festival of Nations of events in St. Paul. We have a wonderful selection of 19th century Indian silk and wool shawls. We have recordings of the Sound of India radio program that aired on KUXL in the mid-1970s. Hosted by Raj Chaudhary and Suraksha Galathi, the program focused on popular Indian music and community affairs, including topics like Hindu, Muslim, and Christian festivals, national holidays, and major events of India, the American bicentennial, the immigration of Indian citizens to the United States. The episodes include interviews with many community leaders, including the president of the Indo-American Club, the head of the Islamic Center of Minnesota, and some popular Indian historians. And we're always interested in expanding our collection with artifacts connected with personal stories that help to tell your history. And we've been pleased to publish about the Indian community. A couple of examples here. We published Asian Flavors, Changing the Taste of Minnesota since 1875. And it was co-authored by Phyllis Louise Harris and Raghavan Ear in 2012. The book features recipes and stories from local chefs like Dalijit Sika and Shander Mehta. And we co-produced a documentary based on the cookbook with TPT, which won the 2013 Upper Midwest Regional Emmy Award. Now we're delighted to present Beyond Bollywood, and we are thrilled to do this. And the partnership with the Community Advisory Board, the Hindu Society, and the American Community of Minnesota have made possible an exhibit that is vibrant, dynamic, and very much enriched with content, artifacts, and the stories of Indian Americas in Minnesota, built around this wonderful traveling exhibit from the Smithsonian. When we started our journey together 25 years ago, we couldn't imagine what each part of that journey would be like. Through the oral history projects that have been done, the collecting, the publishing. This is a wonderful way to mark 25 years together. It's, and I hope that you and your families and members of the community, I hope that you will continue to enjoy the exhibit and the programming around it. Encourage your friends and others to come. With museums and exhibits, the buzz is really important, so help us with the buzz. And I just want you to know, speaking on behalf of my many colleagues in the Minnesota Historical Society, how much we have enjoyed working with you, how much we respect and honor Ram's leadership on the Executive Council and now the Emeritus Council, Godon's service on the State Historical Records Advisory Board, and what a pleasure, what a true pleasure it has been to work with you on these many projects over the years, and now this very important exhibit. We thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts.
Request Dr. Masum Momaya to speak.
Namaste, good morning. Thank you so much to the Hindu Society of Minnesota for having me here. It seems like a particularly fitting way to spend a Sunday morning. If I wouldn't be here, I'd be at my own temple in Illinois, so this is the next best thing. I also wanted to thank everyone kind of involved in this project, including the Minnesota Historical Society for their leadership in bringing Beyond Bollywood here to the St. Paul, Minneapolis area, but also in working with the Indian American community here for more than 25 years, and for doing such a phenomenal job, especially over the last 5 days of really opening the exhibition with a bang, so thank you very much. And also to the Hindu Society of Minnesota, it often takes an institution to be able to support all of the workings of an oral history project. So thank you for all of your leadership in doing that, and congratulations on your history wall. I got a lovely tour of it from Sushmi this morning, and I think it's just a marker of more great things to come. So congratulations on that. And thank you again to Dr. and Mrs. Dash for their support of both the exhibition and the History Wall project. I think that not all philanthropists really understand the importance of history, art, and culture, and it's amazing that you have such luminaries here in your community. And of course to all members of IAM and the Advisory Council that worked with the museum. I know firsthand from my experience of working on Beyond Bollywood over the last 7 or so years that it very much takes a community to be able to put anything like this together, and many people working countless hours, setting aside their own egos and really working for the betterment of the community and the community's history to make things like this happen. So congratulations to all of you. So I was asked to say a few words about the challenges of putting the Beyond Bollywood Indian American Shaped a Nation exhibition together. But I thought it was actually important first to start with the blessings of this particular project, because there really were so many, and I was honored to be the person who was kind of steering the ship, I guess, so to speak, to be able to put this project together. And one of the most amazing experiences that I had was really being able to go around the country like this and meet with so many Indian communities. We are spread out over all 50 states, and our history here spans more than 200 years. And it really enforced to me the truth that history is made and told and unearthed at the local level. We at the Smithsonian have this mandate of sharing the story at the national level, but it's really because of what happens in local communities that we have any stories to tell and anything to work with. So over the last number of years of putting this exhibition together, I had a chance to meet with so many people and hear their stories and continually be blown away at the efforts to preserve and share culture for each other, for generations to come, and also for wider audiences so that we could continue to make a home here for ourselves and also contribute to the American fabric, as Mr. Iyer so eloquently said in the beginning. So that was really one of the biggest blessings, and it's been such a pleasure to be able to travel around the country with the exhibition now that it's put together from the Smithsonian side, and see how communities make it meaningful in their own ways. And I think there's no better example than what I've seen here of the community and the Historical Society working together to tell the story here in Minnesota to complement the national story. As I mentioned, it's these two layers working together that really make an exhibition sing and make it meaningful. And so I hope that that continues to be the case for the visitors that will come to see it now between now and July 10th. If you haven't seen the exhibition, I also wanted to invite you to go and look in particular for a photograph of the Hindu temple here in Minnesota. There's a panel that talks about the different religions that Indian Americans practice, and in that panel we've included the stunning examples of architecture that exists all around the United States from these places of worship, and the Hindu temple here is represented on that panel. So it's a little bit of a pleasure if you haven't seen it already. Another amazing blessing of being able to work on this project was being able to connect with second-generation Indian Americans such as myself. Many of us grew up in communities where there weren't many other Indian families, and so we grew up having to constantly answer the question, where are you from, and explain to people why we were eating what we were eating in our lunch boxes, and why we spoke the languages that we did, and why our mothers wore saris in the middle of winter. And it was an interesting way to grow up here in the United States, and I think in some ways made us really have to understand our culture and our history better to be able to share it with others. But in the process of putting this exhibition together, I had a chance to talk to many people in my generation, to not just hear their stories about growing up here in the United States, but also how they've created their identities as being both Indian and American. And one thing that I often say, and is in the beginning panel of the exhibition, is that Indian Americans are as diverse as America itself. We speak so many languages, we practice different religions, we come from different regions in India and that are part of the Indian diaspora. And our lives have also been circumscribed a lot by the geographies and the communities that we've grown up in. And so speaking, for example, with Indians who grew up in Alaska versus those who grew up in Texas, versus those who grew up in very large Indian communities, maybe in New Jersey or in California, I was always struck by the diversity of experience that I heard about, but also by this commonality of heritage and culture that brings us together, and I think will continue to do so throughout the generations. So that was a really special part of being able to work on this project, and I can now say that I'm probably connected by 2 degrees of separation to every other Indian person in this country, so that's not a bad outcome either. I also was asked to speak about some of the challenges, and I think the most formidable one was really that it's very hard to squeeze the history of our community into one exhibition. As you know, the more that we sort of trace our own history, the more stories, the more photographs, the more artifacts and objects that we uncover that have meaning for us. And so it was a very difficult process to be able to select which ones to put in the exhibition, and then also what stories and what photographs to be able to send on the road in the traveling version of the exhibition. So one thing we really thought about was hoping that this exhibition would, instead of being something that was exhaustive and definitive and the end point of a lot of efforts, that it would actually just be the beginning of it and would be an invitation to do exactly what you've done here, for communities to be able to use it as a platform to continue to share their own stories with each other and with their wider communities. And it's amazing to really see that having been done here. And I hope that you continue to use the work of the Smithsonian as an inspiration to be able to continue to share with each other and honestly with the next generations. I know from having taken many parents with their young children through the exhibition at the Smithsonian that, you know, many parents said to me, my kids, even though they were born here in the United States and they're growing up in American schools and they are as American as can be, they will never know their own Indian American history through a textbook that they have in school. So it's important that we have other places like museums, but also temples and other places of worship, community centers and community organizations, as well as schools of language and the arts, to be able to learn that history, because it will take probably many generations before this history is actually in the mainstream institutions of schools. So I really wanted to commend you for all the work that you've been doing to not just unearth and to tell history, but to share it more broadly, because it is something that we all need to be participants in. And I'm just really amazed at how many of you have been able to take initiative in doing that. It's really, really inspiring. And I wish you continued success and luck in doing that. And if I can ever be a personal resource in that process, I'm happy to be so. So thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing more of your lovely temple and meeting all of you. Thank you.
Yeah, so now the most important thing, like we had recorded the history, the audio recording, audio and video, and those DVDs were submitted to Minnesota Historical Society. But those community leaders who participated, they have not been presented with their CDs. So what we are doing today, we have put those all 17 people, their 1 hour video recording into a flash drive, and then we have a snippet of each one put together, and that we will be presenting to those community leaders. So first, Dr. Kusum Saxena and Dr. Krishna Saxena.
Thank you for all your support all over the years, since 1977 till today. And we are one of the founder members, one pair of founder members. And without all your support, everybody's support, couldn't have done this. Thank you.
An old church became available, and three of us, Mr. Manglik, ourselves, Kusum and I, and the Sanis, we put some money into it. We bought that church, and that is how the first temple was formed. Right from the first day, we started a discourse or discussion, whatever you call it, and it is still going on. Every Sunday, there is some kind of discussion on Indian texts or Indian philosophy.
So I started the Aarti, which is a universal Aarti for all the gods. It's for universal. And a lot of people did not know, and they did not read Hindi either. So I translated and taught them the tune, the standard tune.
People from every single place must be represented. Not only that, we have yearly elections so that young blood, new energy can come in every single year. And we encourage younger people to take charge. It was mostly through her wishes. The Ram Mandir was sponsored by us. As you know, the dining hall has been dedicated in the memory of our parents. I thank God all the time because our dreams of having this kind of institution have succeeded.
I want this mandir to be loan free. That's my ultimate aim at this point.
Next, I will call upon stage Dr. Kumud Sane and Dr. Sashikant Shane.
So that we could have a down payment of $15,000 and then read the reconstruction, remodeling. And even though we did prayers on February 17, 1979 at the temple, the first time that I had a chance to speak in the temple on a formal basis was on 6th of May, 1979. Those discourses have continued till today. But we started the annual youth camp for children because those were the inquisitive minds. And because we started that in 1983, and the youth camp still goes on, by the way, that this year will be 7, 8, 9, and 10th of August in the temple. So that will be basically the 32nd annual youth camp that we will be performing, having here. It just so happened that it was April 5th night, 2006, that the temple was vandalized, 6 weeks before this temple opened. The damage was $300,000 by those vandals when they broke the windows and the doors and desecrated 11 statues which were about to be installed in the temple. We did manage to get the vandals, and they were tried and convicted. And then when the day of sentencing came, Amy Kulobasha called Dr. Sane to come and make a statement before the judgment is passed, and pleaded for kindness and forgiveness for these two youngsters, who 19, 20-year-old boys, young men. They are drug-free, enrolled in college, gainfully employed, eternally grateful to the Hindu community for giving the second chance. But that's the way we want it.
Next on stage will be Mrs. Kanak Dutt. She is representing the Manglik family, one of the founders.
He was very adamant about having a place where anybody or everybody can come and worship. My mom was the first provider of food in the family. I really thanked to start this, because if the seed was not done, this big tree could never give the fruits. I would say people cannot be there all the time, but we should not forget the people who have put the seed. And those people who saw this dream, and this now benefit to thousands of people. That's how I feel. And honestly, I feel so blessed that I am the daughter of the parents who were so great, who lived the life like a karmyogi, as mentioned in Gita. I cannot be there, but I'm trying to follow the path which they established. They are not in this world, but they are remembered not because of the money, but because of their devotion and hard work, and that's what I believe in. I feel whether I am in this world or not, people, if they think of me, they think of goodness. And
generosity, and love, which love never ends. And that's what God teaches us.
Next, Mrs. Naina Ramakrishnan.
When we first came, my father came in 1959. His name was Dr. Padmakar Dixit, and my mother. And when there was no temple, there was hardly any community here. They filled a very large void in the community. My father actually had to go to the Minnesota legislature to even get a designation as a Hindu priest. In his time, before the temple and the priests came along, he did many things attached to what a priest would be doing right now. He did marriages. In fact, he presided over, or he officiated about 150 marriages, Vedic marriages here. Because there was no other place to go. He had to be that, he had to fill that void. The tour committee is Kunjabai Patel, who was the first president of this temple, Ned Mohan, who's professor at the University of Minnesota, and me. Dr. Sani used to give some tours also, but I think he's lately not doing so. But so the three of us, Shamla Ganesh and Rad Ganesh also, we have given tours to, I think, hundreds, if not a few thousand people by now over the years.
Now I will call Mr. Mahendra Nath, who is not only from the very beginning, this auditorium is named after him, Nath Auditorium. So Mr. Mahendra Nath.
Buying this land on my own, in my own name, and I did negotiate with the farmers to the point that I was ready to give them, not ready, I did that I will pay for the whole thing, because we felt that when something is community owned, then there is a participation, there is a great feeling that belongs to us. When the time comes, when all the board members make the decision, we transfer it at cost to Temple Hindu Society in Minnesota, and that way it will be a land owned by and for the community. So the transaction was closed in January. The money translated to the society when they are ready. The real documents were signed in August of the next year, which would be 1998. So I transferred the land in the name of the society. The most important thing, the underlying thing I would say is, since the basic idea was that this is the place for the community, by the community, and of the community. And we maintain that basic principle. That's why this place is flourishing and is to the satisfaction of everybody, because everybody feels they belong to it.
Next, Mr. Byron Bairia.
So he put out the zoning ordinance and he said this land is not zoned for any construction. As a matter of fact, cannot build a temple here. And I said to myself, we came here $10,000 a day with $8 in our pocket. We met with so many challenges in our life. This is one of those. And this won't be a barrier for our so we're going to see, we're going to buy. That's how we ended up purchasing land on the stone bus. On October 4th, 2003, happens to be auspicious day, Vijayadashmi Day. The precise time is 11:49, 45 seconds a.m. So the city mayor, Mark Stephenson, the Minneapolis mayor, Mark G. Ryback, And all the other people came to this groundbreaking ceremony. So that was the beginning. This is the temple Gopuram right now. This is the hand-drawn sketch. And that is the first sketch. People were able to see this. And Ray Hunt saw this one. Okay, here is the design that's already been done for you. All you have to do is build this around this Gopuram. So that's what he did. So ended up, you can see, this is the hand-drawn sketch, this is the actual construction. So that's how this came about.
Next, Mr. Narendra Venkatapuram.
I said, hey, why not we introduce the Satyanarayana Puja, we call it, at the temple. 32 families participated the first time. That was an amazing inspiration. I said, yeah, let's do this every year. So we did for next 1 years. After that, every month we started doing. We still continue even today. At that time, the committee was given me an opportunity to supervise the whole thing. There were many obstacles, but the grace of God and everything went well. We purchased all the materials through Palaniswamy Associates at a contractor's price. That saved us thousands and thousands of dollars. This is the one, the first brick was laid on this temple. Groundbreaking ceremony.
Mr. Swami Palaniswamy.
And I said, okay, I'll call Momaya, my friend. He's in Chennai, and he did probably about 36 temples out of 50 temples in the United States. He is really a very talented individual. He can that's my way of looking, building a home for families, for spirituality, for equality, art, music, tradition. We are all one, and the one is in us. I have designed some churches, of course, I got here, of course. I don't bill anybody for my effort in managing the construction. I am at the 4th year now, I organize a function here at the temple. It's called All in One and One in All. So I have the kids practice 18 different languages, 18 songs, bhajans what we call. Last year was the first year we had a Kashmiri bhajan. The Kashmiri people were really excited. It started actually very early, sometime in '98. Then I called Mr. Momaya and say, when you come to the United States, I want to come here. So he came, stayed at my house, went to the office. We drew all night, one night. We didn't go to sleep. He got so excited too. He loves the snow. He thought this Himalayas or Kashmir or Nepal. We are creating a monument. We all depicted in the form of decorations and carvings. What we did was we built a structure. Then we lit a cavity like a thermos flask. Then we built a structure outside. Any water that seeps in through, go in the cavity, then we suck them out through the ropes. I learned that by working on other buildings. Some high-rise building we do, the brick buildings, that's how we take the water out. So, in addition to that, what I did was the interior layer, I waterproofed everything. So even if the water doesn't get behind and ruin the structure. But I did learn that I had to observe and satisfy the temple building from Momaya and the other people at the temple. For example, they don't have water at the northeast corner, and the temple has to be higher. The orientation has to be perfect to the east. When you see the sunrise and all, in a surveying language we use what latitude or longitude. We have to orient and find out the maximum number of sunrise and what angle, and lay out the temple to match that orientation. That was all done. We tried to marry the 1,000-year-old way of doing things to modern codes, the life safety system. We all to be protected and all. So it was a challenge, all of that. But at the end of the day, it got done, everybody's using it, so it's great.
Dr. Esteban.
On April 26, 1998, I submitted my plan and proposal and saying that we have a purchase agreement to sign for that 80 acres of land here in Metro Grove. And we approved that plan with that plan, and we started moving on. So all the temples you see here, these are the replica of the temples back in India. We feel so proud that we have been able to build the biggest temple of America here. Big chunk of money I have already estate planning and trust and all these things I have right now. And most of the money I have dedicated to Hindu temple and some charity like Innovation Center back in South Dakota State and back in India, IIT. Community has been very kind to me. They have recognized me as the distinguished man of the year in the temple. America is a great country for one thing. They like to see we preserve our culture, preserve our heritage. Our slogan is our heritage here in the Mandir. Once people get people involved, they say it is our temple. Now Hindu temple is by the community, for the community. By the community, for the community. And the community believe it is our temple.
Mrs. and Mr. Anandi and Raj Balasubramaniam, are they here?
One of the things that I took it upon myself was we worked with the priests to come up with some basic outline in terms of what are all the religious events and activities that would be performed in India and which the devotees would see as being very close to being in India but experiencing it in a foreign land. And so that was one of my roles, where working very closely with priests and making sure that we have those things in place.
And then in 2009 we had this grand celebration of this high tower, that Rajgopura. That was a really grand celebration. So by that time it was just, we all practically, we call ourselves as the one big happy family, the HSMN family, Hindu Society of Minnesota family. So that's how close we are together now.
But this is a huge structure, everything is huge, people just love this place and all that. But the mission of the place ultimately is to, make sure that the devotees who come here, they have a very peaceful spiritual experience for them and their family.
The chief priest, Sri Murali Bhatter, is not here also.
Every day we have a schedule to do the pujas, certain pujas that we perform. Even devotees come to the temple or not. We don't worry, but we have to do regular pujas for the God. Even if it's too much cold, it's too much snowy, we don't care. We have to come to the temple. We cannot stop the worship to the God. We think everything is God. We see God in everything. So if my son touches this one in his feet, I will ask him, no, don't touch. That's the Lakshmi. If my feet touches you, no, I will touch you. Wait, God is in you also. God is only one. God is only one. People has chosen different ways to reach the supreme being. Some people go through Vishnu, some people go through Durga, some people go through Shiva, some people go through Saraswati, some people go through other names, different. But everyone is trying to reach the supreme being.
Next is Mr. Ramgara.
The Hindu and Jain culture from ancient times, they have gone parallel philosophically. Their ends never meet, but philosophically, but they are on the two banks of the river. And the river, the culture is flowing in between. I was involved in the design and construction of the Jain mini temple. He gave the idea to the local, the Hindu temple architect, how the Jain temple construction should be. So he did a very good job, architect, to come up with a Jain architecture is pretty specific in certain ways, you know. And as a Jain, I am very thankful to Hindu society to allow or coexist with Hindu society over the years. And I'm sure this path will continue. We've got to have the unity. We cannot divide for small little things. We should have an overall theme to keep us united. Because united we stand, divided we fall.
Next, Mr. Vardarajan Shari.
This building, the deities, the grounds, all told about $11 to $12 million was the acquisition cost of this huge enterprise. We've started off by financing this primarily through bank loans, and then over the last, really over a very long period of time, but really over the last 8 years or so, we've done a very effective and active job of fundraising. It started off as a small operation. We had a converted church in northeast Minneapolis. It was a small operation. We had an annual budget of about $125,000. Now we have an annual budget, which is the income of about $1.8 million. We have annual expenses, operating expenses of about $1.2 million. We wanted to be completely debt-free by 2018. In the beginning phases of this temple, which was inaugurated, as I said, in 2006, we faced very severe financial challenges. There were many months when I, as the person principally responsible for the finances of the temple, was very worried that we would not have enough money to decorate the icons with flowers the next month. So we lived really, literally hand to mouth. Now, I would describe our financial position as very sound. We have, as I said, generated an excess of income over expenditures of the order of about $600,000 a year. So we're in a fairly sound financial position.
Mr. Punyabhai Patel.
My first role connected with the old Hindu temple was they had a children program, and that time both the Namudripad and I started teaching kids, and he was teaching storytelling and telling about scripture, and I was doing that. And then we started adults classes. First A.C. Manglik started it, and then I continued that program. And I've been teaching yoga since there as well as here. I'm very hopeful that this place, the temple, the society, will be a platform for younger generation to participate and to learn about the culture. I think that second and third generation is hard really because they are in transition. They have challenges and opportunity from both cultures. And the third generation will have a more leaning toward the surrounding culture than their Indian origin. But I think that when they grow, become 25, 30, 35, they all will ask, who am I? What is my role in this society? Why I'm here? And that's where the Hindu society will be in forefront of answering some of these questions.
Mrs. Maithili Chari.
The Hindu Society of Minnesota to me is like the beacon for betterment. It's our community. It's a chance for me to do good. It's a chance for me to connect with my roots, my culture, and other values. And yoga is my passion. And what's great about the Hindu temple is that it has a lot of people that come together for a greater good. And to me, the most important thing is to use your talent, to use your passion to serve others. We do have some faithful yoga teachers like Udalai Patel. And I was telling him, I said, we really should offer yoga the way it's supposed to be taught, with volunteer teachers, yoga as a way of life, and people, donation-based. So you do simple breathing, pranayama, asanas, without any of the, any style or any kind of bells and whistles. Just do it simply, do it because it makes you feel better. And if you make yourself strong, and make yourself loving, and make yourself compassionate and gentle, if you fill yourself up, you're able to give and give and give without sort of expecting. So we have to think about ways in which we can make our community better. And I think the great thing about this is that everybody comes in with a goal to help others and not to necessarily make money out of it. So we have a different job, we make our money, we pay our bills, but then here this is for serving and community and giving. So that kind of makes the whole dynamics really nice.
Mr. Vishal Agarwal here. Vishal is not here.
So about 15 families came together, and our aim was to start a school with about 25 children. But the very first year we had 107 children. And the school just grew by leaps and bounds. So the first year we had 107, the second year we had 172, and then we ran out of space, so we had to start a new afternoon session in 2011, and we grew to 253 students. Now this is our 5th year, we have 300 students here on premises, and we actually started as students. So within 5 years, we've become the largest Hindu weekend school probably in the upper Midwest.
It helps you build up with, or stay the lifestyle and how you, and basically that's pretty important for me to start thinking about that now, because if I end up making wrong decisions like when I'm 20, it'd be like, that's one you can't turn back. So knowing it now, you're prepared for the future.
Last but not least, Mrs. Sushma Tandon Agarwal.
Hindu Society's foundational service to the community, if I may say, to offer various religious ceremonies and services. But in addition to that, the next one that comes first is the cultural. Honestly, genuinely very humbled by me being given this opportunity to be this transition, if you will, or the representative of the next generation or the first next generation. This newer generation, I think, needs some of the mainstream reasons always to feel that this is their home, and then find their own reason to latch on to, be it cultural, or be it outreach, or be it religious. I wanted to make a difference, and that's why I'm here, and I'm trying to do it in the ways that I know it the best. And I think that's true of so many people that are connected with this organization, or for that matter, any organization. They want to be able to offer something, be able to make a difference. That's what I feel is the assignment given to me by the founders, that I should lay the foundation so that it can be built upon, and then when these 13-year-olds are 25 or 26, can call it their own. That's my dream.
Okay, now we have presented the flash drives to those who were involved, but there were many people behind the scene who helped this happen. Appreciating their work, we want to hand over some certificates So I would like the representatives of India Association of Minnesota to please come on stage. Hashim, Babu, Shrikant.
Am I missing anyone? Oh, Ramakar, yes. Please.
India Association President. I just want to add a couple things on the World History Project. We've been hearing about the World History Project for a few years, but it's been in the plan and implementation since '92. We always thought that, it's okay, what's the big deal, because somebody's recording and archiving it. The magnitude of it is, you really see what it means is when everything comes together, and which is at the exhibit here, at the History Center. And it really makes a huge difference because the way the History Center went around is that they dug into their archives, to pull some comments that were recorded from, '92 and back then. And that's when you would feel that, like, wow, this is not, just an archive, but there is meaning to it. And even when you, I don't know how many of you did the Google, if you go look at some comments from Indians or from Minnesota or, Shanti or these guys, like, you will see in the, you come in the searches that the comments that were recorded, back then. But thank you for Godan and Ramu for starting this effort on the History Center. Thank you.
Namaste. In '92, I wrote a letter to the director of Minnesota Historical Society, Nina Axbal at that time, and the reply from her is what started this whole thing. And I did one very smart thing, I can say. I got a person with some leadership skill on my team.
Invite Raj and Godan. Oh, they are okay. Definitely on because they are.
India Association President.
I just want to add a couple of things on the World History Project. We've been hearing about the World History Project for a few years, but it's been in the plan and implementation since '92. We always thought that, it's okay, what's the big deal, because somebody's recording and archiving it. The magnitude of it is, you really see what it means is when everything comes together, and which is at the exhibit here, at the History Center. And it really makes a huge difference because the way the History Center went around is that they dug into their archives, to pull some comments that were recorded from, '92 and back then. And that's when you feel that, like, wow, this is not, just an archive, but there is meaning to it. And even when you, I don't know how many of you did the Google, if you go look at some comments from Indians or from Minnesota or Shanti or these guys, like you will see in the, you come in the searches that the comments that were recorded, back then. But thank you for Golan and Ram for starting this effort on the History Center. Thank you.
Namaste. In '92, I wrote a letter to the director of Minnesota Historical Society, Nina Archibald at that time, and the reply from her is what started this whole thing. And I did one very smart thing, I can say. I got a person with some leadership skill on my team, and you know who that is. And it's been a pleasure to work with them all through. And then when I got tired, I said, this needs to be taken by somebody younger. And here's Ram, Raj, and Lata. And he recruited Lata, who is a very talented. Now, as to the beginning of the history project here at the Hindu Mandir, that started with one or two sentences I talked to Maithili Chari at a concert. And she said, yes, we will do that. So what I can say is that if you say the right word, Ram had mentioned that he said that we need to bring this Bollywood, Beyond Bollywood exhibit here to the right person at the right time. So if you say the right thing at the right time and get the right partners, we can do a lot of things. And with the grace of God, I'm really thrilled to be standing here after all this time.
We have to give a couple of more certificates. One is Alex Ward. Has he left? Okay. He has left. Dan Drain. Is he there? Oh, he's not there. And one person who really worked very hard. Yeah. Nandini Dabe. It is my honor and privilege to It is an honor to have all of you attending the completion ceremony of the Oral History Project of Hindu Society of Minnesota today at Nath Auditorium in the temple. I am Akshay Panda, the President of Hindu Society of Minnesota. I am delighted to represent all our members of both the Executive Committee and the Trustee Executive Council to extend our heartfelt thank you to a number of key individuals and organizations involved in this historic project. I wanted to let them know that without their support, we would not have been gathering here to celebrate our history today. I will start out with Minnesota Historical Society for the funding of the project and making us a part of the Minnesota's glorious history. Thank you. This project would not have been possible without the initiative and support of India Association of Minnesota. Not only the funds were channeled through them, they also conducted the interviews on behalf of Minnesota Historical Society. A big thank you, IAM. And I'm glad that they are well represented here today. I thank our esteemed guests, Dr. Masum Momaya and Mr. Stephen Elliot for gracing this occasion and honoring the interviewees. Thank you. I take this opportunity to thank Mr. Ram Gada, Mr. Godam Nabudripad, Mr. Raj Menon, past Chair Lady Maithili Chari, past Presidents Susmi Agarwal, Purnaguram, for their initiative and vision to undertake this project and complete it successfully. Thank you for sharing your vision. I also thank Alex Ward, Dan Wren, Lata Menon, Raj Menon, Nandini Dave for their invaluable time for this project. Your commitment to this project is second to none. Nandini and Alex, please accept our sincere appreciation for the countless hours you have provided in editing and finalizing the wonderful video that we all watched today. Thank you. I also thank all the interviewees for their role in the history of the temple and giving their valuable time for this history project. I thank Dr. and Mrs. Das for supporting the history wall as a part of recording our rich HSMN history. Thank you, Dr. Das and Mrs. Das. I thank you all once again for taking time to be a part of this historic moment today. Special thanks to IM President Hashim and the board members for joining us here today to celebrate our history. Thank you.